The world you inhabit feels solid, unyielding. But what if its very solidity is a trick of light, a persistent rendering by an unseen mechanism? What if the reality you perceive isn't truly out there, waiting to be discovered, but is instead being built, moment by fleeting moment, by something far deeper within you? You felt the familiar weight of your surroundings, the certainty of your past, the fixed nature of your circumstances. But this certainty is itself a construct, a persistent illusion maintained by an invisible engine. You are not merely witnessing a pre-existing movie, you are the projector. Every sight, every sound, every felt sensation is a projection, an active interpretation of raw energy, shaped by filters you didn't even know you possessed. This isn't a metaphor. This is the fundamental, unsettling truth of how your lived experience comes into being. It means that the constraints you feel, the limits you bump against, are not external walls, but internal boundaries. The very idea that reality is a fixed, objective truth waiting for you to stumble upon it is the first great deception. It traps you in a perpetual state of reaction, always responding to what appears to be simply there. But what if there is simply where your internal projector is currently focused? The world doesn't just exist for you. In a profound way, it exists because of you. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about the mechanics of perception itself, a foundational agreement between you and the vibrating potential of the universe. This agreement dictates what emerges into your conscious experience and what remains veiled, forever outside your grasp until you shift the lens. Your repeated failures were never accidents. They were echoes of an old identity still rendering. But what happens when that identity finally collapses? We now turn to the invisible scripts that feed and solidify your observations. In the invisible loop, identity scripts feed observation. And before we dive deeper, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. These revelations aren't random, and if this video found you, it was meant to. Now let's begin. You carry within you a hidden dossier, a collection of subtle instructions, narratives, and beliefs about who you are and how the world works. These are not conscious thoughts you ponder daily. Instead, they are deeply encoded identity scripts running silently in the background, dictating the parameters of your perceived reality. They whisper to your observations, shaping what you notice and what you ignore. Think of it like an operating system for your entire being. This script defines your capabilities, your worth, your limitations, and what is possible for someone like you. Every decision, every reaction, every interpretation of an event is filtered through this script, confirming its own predetermined narrative. Your life doesn't just happen to you, it unfolds as a direct consequence of what this underlying script believes to be true about you. If your script says, "I am always struggling with money," then your brain, with uncanny efficiency, will highlight every piece of evidence that supports this narrative. It will literally filter out opportunities, overlook solutions, and ensure that your experience aligns perfectly with the internal program. This is not about bad luck. It's about a relentless, self-fulfilling prophecy orchestrated by your own subconscious. These scripts are powerful. They are the unseen architects of your recurring patterns, the reason you keep finding yourself in similar situations, encountering similar challenges, and feeling similar emotions. You felt this loop, but never named it. You thought it was fate, but it was just code. This rigid adherence to an internal identity is what locks your perception into a predictable, repeating cycle. You are not stuck because reality is fixed. You are stuck because your perception hasn't shifted, held tightly by these invisible directives. These identity scripts aren't just shaping your inner world. They're actively directing what your eyes literally see. This deep connection between internal script and external reality brings us face to face with the mechanism by which your attention becomes the very force that solidifies your world, known as the observer effect. Your attention is the collapse mechanism. Your attention is not a passive spotlight merely illuminating what is already there. It is an active, dynamic force, a collapse mechanism that translates oceanic potential into discrete, observable reality. This isn't just a quantum physics metaphor, it's the lived experience of your everyday existence. Before you direct your attention, possibilities exist in a fluid, indeterminate state, like waves on an ocean. Your focus is the force that makes the wave break, forming a specific, tangible event. Consider the quantum field, a realm of pure potential, probabilities shimmering like invisible threads. Your consciousness, your focused attention, acts as the needle that intertwines these threads into a specific fabric, the fabric of your perceived reality. When you pour your attention onto an idea, a goal, or even a problem, you are not just thinking about it. You are investing psychic energy, making it more energetically dense, more likely to materialize into your experience. This explains why what you fear often manifests. Your anxious attention, though focused on avoidance, still brings that potential into sharper relief. You are collapsing a wave of potential fear into a solid, undeniable reality. Conversely, what you consistently ignore, what you deem insignificant, remains in the realm of the unseen, unformed, and ultimately non-existent within your personal universe. It simply doesn't collapse into your experience. The universe doesn't have an agenda, it responds to where your attention is anchored. It's a vast, impersonal mirror reflecting back the precise focal point of your awareness. The world doesn't choose to show you opportunities or obstacles. Your attention does. This profoundly personal act of collapsing potential into experience also explains why your present feels so eerily familiar. It reveals that much of what you're seeing isn't new at all, but a direct echo of what you were, which leads us to understand reality isn't delayed, you're just seeing the past you. You often feel like reality is lagging, that your efforts take an agonizingly long time to manifest. You wish for change, you work toward it, and yet the old patterns persist, seemingly cemented in place. This isn't a delay in reality's response, it's a delay in your perception. What you are witnessing in your present moment is often the precise reflection of the vibrational state, the dominant identity script, and the collapsed potentials of your past self. Imagine reality as a massive, intricate printer. Your past self was the input, the blueprint. The world you inhabit today is the printout, faithfully reproducing the specifications of that prior state of being. If you were a person of anxiety yesterday, manifesting worry, today's circumstances will still bear the imprint of that anxiety, even if you are trying to be calm now. The momentum of the previous collapse still carries forward, creating a visible echo. This continuous rendering means that until the input changes, the output remains largely the same. You're not seeing current reality. You're seeing the lingering effects, the persistent data points of who you were. This explains why change feels so difficult, why breaking old habits demands immense effort. You are literally observing the ghost of your past identity, replaying itself in the physical world. The familiar struggles, the recurring limitations, the same disappointments, these are not failures of your present self. They are simply evidence that your old self, your past identity, is still rendering and influencing the perceived now. You are trapped in a loop where the present is constantly reflecting the past. This constant re-rendering is greatly influenced by an internal filter responsible for what you even register, steering us into the realm of reticular activation. The brain as a reality filter. Deep within your brain, a small but incredibly powerful network called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS, operates as your personal reality gatekeeper. Its job is not to show you all of reality, but to filter out the overwhelming majority of sensory data, allowing only what it deems relevant to your conscious awareness. This isn't just about ignoring background noise. It's about actively shaping your perception of what exists. The RAS is programmed by your beliefs, your fears, your desires, and those deeply ingrained identity scripts. If your script dictates that money is always hard to come by, your RAS will literally dim or entirely block out information related to financial opportunities, abundance, or easy solutions. It's not that these things aren't present in the world. It's that your internal filter deems them irrelevant to your current programmed reality, and thus, you simply don't perceive them. This system is why, when you decide to buy a new car, you suddenly see that specific model everywhere. The cars weren't just born overnight. Your RAS was reprogrammed to prioritize and highlight that information, pulling it from the vast, undifferentiated background into your conscious foreground. It's a master of selective perception, acting as the ultimate confirmation bias machine. Your RAS keeps you safe, but it also keeps you trapped. It diligently reinforces the boundaries of your known world, ensuring that your experience aligns with your deepest beliefs, even if those beliefs are limiting. It's the silent enforcer of your comfort zone, diligently showing you only what it believes you expect to see. This relentless filtering mechanism beautifully illustrates why, despite your best intentions, the same patterns stubbornly persist, drawing us to confront proof in repetition. Why the same patterns keep appearing? You've witnessed it countless times. The same relationship struggles, the familiar financial droughts, the identical career roadblocks. It feels like an inescapable loop, a cosmic joke playing out at your expense. But these repetitions are not random, unfortunate events. They are definitive proofs, tangible manifestations of your deeply embedded identity scripts and the filters maintained by your reticular activating system. They are reality's undeniable feedback mechanism. Each recurring pattern is a mirroring. It's the universe, in its elegant precision, showing you exactly what dominant vibration, what core belief, what unseen script is still actively driving your observable reality. Every repeat is a clear signal that the underlying program has not been altered, that the perception filter remains unchanged. You are receiving persistent data reflecting persistent beliefs. The reason these patterns feel so unyielding is precisely because they are being constantly reinforced by your internal system. Your RAS, dutifully upholding the dictates of your identity script, continues to highlight and manifest scenarios that confirm the existing belief. It's a closed feedback loop. Belief creates perception, perception creates experience, experience reinforces belief. You thought these were external circumstances, unfortunate coincidences stacked against you. But they were always internal declarations playing out in the theater of your life. The frustration you feel isn't with the world, it's a symptom of resisting the mirror's reflection. To break this cycle, you must understand that the solution lies not in fighting the external effect, but in altering the internal cause, a process addressed in the loop breaker. Deleting one belief to disrupt the feed. To escape the endless repetition, you must become a conscious editor of your own deeply ingrained programming. The most potent disruptive act isn't adding new beliefs. It's actively identifying and deleting a single, core limiting belief that powers one of your persistent negative loops. Think of it as pulling a specific, corrupted file from your operating system. Choose one recurring frustration, one pattern you desperately want to shatter. Then, with unflinching honesty, ask yourself, what fundamental belief about myself or the world must be true for this specific pattern to keep manifesting? Is it I'm not good enough, money is hard to earn, relationships always fail? Pinpoint that solitary, foundational belief. Once identified, understand that this belief is not a truth. It's a data point, an agreement you've unconsciously made. To delete, it means to withdraw your energetic consent. It's not about fighting it or affirming the opposite with force. It's about recognizing its artificiality, understanding it as a corrupted program, and choosing to no longer feed it with your attention or your belief. This act of deletion creates a void, an energetic space where the old pattern can no longer anchor itself. The RAS, suddenly deprived of its marching orders, begins to search for new directives. This single deletion sends ripples throughout your entire perceptive framework, creating an opening for genuinely new information to enter. It's the first step in actively observing your reality shift. This immediate, palpable shift from internal change to external world is something you can test for yourself, moving us toward a micro-experiment. Shift the filter, watch reality reply. You don't have to take these mechanisms on faith. You can prove them to yourself. This isn't a grand, life-altering commitment. It's a tiny, deliberate act of recalibration. Pick something small, something seemingly inconsequential that you want to experience more of or less of in your day. This could be noticing more green cars, hearing a specific phrase, or simply feeling a brief moment of unexpected ease. Now deliberately instruct your internal filter. For the next 24 hours, consciously focus your attention on seeking out evidence of your chosen experience. If it's green cars, every time you see one, internally acknowledge it. If it's ease, actively look for micro moments where things flow effortlessly. You are not willing these things into existence through sheer will. You are simply telling your RAS, your internal gatekeeper, to prioritize and bring this specific type of information into your conscious awareness. What you will likely find is an astonishing increase in the visibility of your chosen item or experience. It won't be that the world has fundamentally changed. It will be that your perception, your filter, has been consciously recalibrated. Information that was always present but previously deemed irrelevant will now jump into your consciousness. This micro-experiment is proof that your brain is not merely observing objective reality. It is actively constructing it based on your focused direction. This small shift demonstrates your immense power not just to see differently, but to experience differently. It offers a tangible glimpse into your role as an active participant in reality's rendering, proving that what you focus on amplifies. This simple act reveals a hidden truth. Sometimes, the harder you try to force an outcome, the more you unwittingly reinforce its opposite, a paradox explored in the paradox of effort. Trying harder locks the loop. You've been taught that success demands relentless effort, a heroic struggle against odds. So when things aren't working, your natural instinct is to try harder, push more, exert greater force. But in the quantum landscape of reality rendering, trying harder can often be the very mechanism that locks you deeper into the loop you desperately want to escape. This is the paradox of effort. When you try harder from a place of desperation, fear, or a belief in difficulty, you are inadvertently pouring more focused attention onto the lack of your desired outcome. Your efforts become an affirmation of the problem, not the solution. You are amplifying the feeling of not having it yet, which your RAS dutifully interprets as the current reality, and then further filters for more evidence of that lack. Think of it this way: your conscious mind is saying, "I want more money," but your underlying vibrational state, fueled by desperate effort, is screaming, "I don't have enough money and it's so hard to get." The universe, an impeccable mirror, responds to the dominant vibration. The trying harder often originates from an identity script that believes in struggle, making the struggle itself the focus, rather than the desired abundance. It creates a vicious cycle. The more you try and fail, the more evidence your internal filter gathers that it is indeed hard, reinforcing the limiting belief. True shifts happen not through brute force, but through alignment, through a subtle recalibration of your inner state, your identity script, and your filtering mechanism. This is why some solutions aren't found through grinding, but through noticing the subtle signals available when that struggle momentarily ceases. These signals often appear in unexpected forms, drawing us towards symbols, numbers, and keys. Cracks in the filter matrix. Even the most rigidly programmed filter isn't entirely impenetrable. Reality, in its boundless nature, strives for expansion and communication. When your conscious directives and subconscious scripts are misaligned, or when you are on the cusp of a breakthrough, the universe offers subtle nudges, glitches in the matrix of your perceived reality. These often appear as recurring symbols, significant numbers, or key phrases that seem to follow you. You might notice an unusual animal repeatedly crossing your path, or the same sequence of numbers appearing on clocks, receipts, and license plates. A specific lyric from a song might keep playing in your head, or a seemingly random phrase from a conversation might resonate with profound meaning. These are not mere coincidences. These are cracks in your filter, deliberate communications from the deeper layers of awareness, attempting to bypass your programmed limitations. They are metaphorical keys, hinting at pathways, offering guidance, or reflecting an internal truth that your conscious mind might be suppressing. Each recurring symbol is an invitation to pause, to look deeper, to question the immediate surface-level interpretation of your reality. They are proof that more is at play than your established filter allows you to see. Ignoring these signals is like continually hitting snooze on an alarm that's trying to wake you up to a different possibility. They are whispers from the uncollapsed potentials, trying to break through the noise of your old script. These signs are a reminder that you are not entirely alone in this rendering process. There's a larger intelligence engaging with you, but to truly engage, you must be an active participant. Failure to do so risks an even greater challenge, leading us to the price of passivity, letting others render your reality. If you don't consciously direct your attention and actively program your internal filters, then something else will. The universe abhors a vacuum. When you remain passive, allowing your identity scripts to run on autopilot, you effectively hand over the rendering controls to external influences. This is the steep price of passivity. You become an observer of a reality rendered by the collective, by fears, expectations, and narratives that are not your own. Society, media, family, and cultural norms constantly bombard your subconscious with their own dominant stories about scarcity, struggle, and limitation. If you don't establish your own internal directives, your RAS will default to these external inputs, diligently filtering and manifesting a world that aligns with the consensus reality. Your perceived limitations become an echo of everyone else's. You might find yourself living a life that feels disconnected, unfulfilling, or perpetually out of sync with your deepest desires. This isn't because you're fundamentally flawed. It's because your internal projector is mirroring a script written by someone else or by everyone else. You are experiencing their reality, not your own. This passive acceptance leads to a profound sense of powerlessness, a feeling that life is happening to you rather than being co-created by you. You become a passenger in your own existence. To truly reclaim your rendering power, you must reach a point of undeniable internal shift, a moment when the old self can no longer hold its form, preparing us for the collapse point. Acting from the already rendered self. Before true change can manifest outwardly, an internal collapse must occur. This is not a destructive event, but a necessary shedding. The collapse point is that moment of profound internal shift where your old identity script, the one that powered your loops and limitations, finally loses its hold. It's when you stop acting from a belief in future possibility and begin to act from the already rendered self of your desired reality. This means you literally begin to embody the person who already has what you desire, who already is what you wish to become. You don't wait for the external circumstances to change before you feel worthy, abundant, or loved. You cultivate those feelings, those states of being now. You make decisions from that future perspective, even if your current physical reality mirrors the old. This is a radical act of faith in the unseen, a complete inversion of the conventional cause and effect understanding. You become the cause, not the effect. You don't try to get the desired reality, you become it internally. This shift is powerful because your RAS, always seeking to align perception with internal belief, now has new directives. It will work tirelessly to bring evidence of this already rendered self into your awareness. The physical world, which always lags, begins to catch up to your internal collapse and subsequent re-rendering. It starts to reflect the new identity you are embodying. This is the true power of manifestation, not wishful thinking, but an active, internal transformation that compels the external world to reflect its new source code. The ultimate question then becomes, if your filters have determined your reality, who are you without them? The journey through invisible loops, collapsing potentials, and recalibrated filters brings us to an uncomfortable, exhilarating question. Who are you without the filter's constant dictation? What remains when the stories, the limitations, and the inherited programs are stripped away? This is the ultimate identity collapse, not a destruction, but a revelation of pure potential. Without the filters that told you who you were, what you could achieve, and what the world was like, you are presented with a vast, unwritten canvas. The perceived boundaries of your reality were never solid. They were always just the edges of your current filter settings. To shed these filters is to step into an expansive, unknown territory. This isn't about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you truly are, a conscious renderer of reality, tethered directly to the infinite potential of the quantum field. You were never meant to be a passive observer of a fixed world, but an active, sovereign creator. The discomfort of this realization is the shedding of a familiar, albeit limiting, identity. The mirror is now clear. The reflection holds boundless possibilities. Your next step isn't about accumulating more. It's about discerning what you truly choose to render, free from the echoes of the past. The question isn't what will you see, but what will you choose to make visible? Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.